How's it going, everyone? My name's Austin, so I'm back again for my Care and Prevention of Athletic Injury course. So our critical assignment is to identify a specific sport, find some injuries that are common within it, and then describe how to prevent and rehabilitate them. So last week I described that my sport of choice is a youth swim team that takes place in the hot summer months of Southern California. So some of the common injuries we talked about were hyperthermia, or some of the, it's kind of a more broad term for heat injuries in general. Also superficial cuts and burns to the feet, as well as biceps tendonitis. So now that we know all these things, we need to learn first how to rehabilitate them. First things first, let's talk about biceps tendonitis. So we talked about it, inflammation of the biceps tendon from overuse. Some of the things we could do to treat and rehabilitate it are bicep curls and bicep stretches. So right now, first, let's take a look at some of those. All right. How's it going, everyone? So first off, before I talk about the rehabilitative exercises, I do just want to apologize. Originally, a friend of mine was supposed to come in as a volunteer and perform all these exercises for us while I was walking him through. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it tonight, so what I am going to do is just do the exercises myself. I'm going to describe them, I'm going to describe the set ranges and when you should and shouldn't perform them. So first things first, let's get to it. The first injury is going to be biceps tendonitis. First rehabilitative exercise I'd recommend is bicep curls. You're going to want to select a weight, or a dumbbell rather, that's pretty light for you. It's just going to be a passive movement to help the healing process. So select a light weight, don't overstrain yourself. Perform the bicep curls for 15 reps and 3 sets of 15 rather. So here I am, just performing the curls. And that's 1, 2. Alright, so perform those 3 sets of 15. Don't overstrain yourself, and that is one way to help rehab biceps tendonitis. Next thing you can do is ice the injury or the affected area. For icing, what you're going to do is ice the area for no more than 20 minutes. So 15 to 20 minutes, they say if you go over 20 minutes, it could potentially harm the area more than it does good. One thing they also say is to do the icing within 48 hours of the injury. So say you're coming out of practice, or your athlete's coming out of practice, make sure you do it within 48 hours. So all I'm going to do with biceps tendonitis, place the ice on the anterior aspect of my elbow joint, leave it there for 15-20 minutes. After that, switch, hit the other side, and there you go. Ice the bicep, that's one way of rehabbing biceps tendonitis. Finally, one thing you could do is stretch the injured ligament, or tendon rather, sorry. So what I'm going to do is place my hand on a hard surface, shoulder height. I'm going to rotate my upper body, so I'm pulling on my shoulder. What I'm going to be doing is stretching out the bicep, horizontally abducting the shoulder. It's going to pull on the biceps tendon and stretch it out. So I'm performing this for 15 to 20 seconds as well for 3 sets. So right here I'm just trading sides so I can hit both of the injured biceps. Count that out for 15 to 20 seconds. And there you go. There's our some suggested exercises for rehabbing biceps tendonitis. Alright, so next injury we talked about was superficial cuts and abrasions and burns to the feet. So as we talked about how this could happen on a pool deck, if it's really hot out in the hot summer months, the temperature of the pool deck gets really hot and it could easily burn your feet. Also on pool decks, you never know what could be out there, whether it's broken glass, an old screw, what have you. Anything like that could potentially harm your feet. So, and also at the end, I do want to talk about sunburns a little bit because I feel like it's a very serious injury that could happen while participating in this sport. So, first things first, this injury, it's not super serious and life-threatening at the time, but there are ways that we can prevent it and prevent harming yourself. So first tip I want to suggest is, regardless of how short the distance is you're traveling, always wear your shoes. So what we're going to do here, sounds silly, but just putting on my shoes, making sure that when we're walking, we're gonna have foot protection on and we're not gonna risk getting abrasions on our feet. So next thing, this is kind of just a tip, but it is technically a preventative exercise. If you're ever on the pool deck and you ever spot something unusual on the ground, whether it be glass, like I said, an old screw, just pick it up right away, just to prevent the possibility that someone else might pick it up. Unfortunately, if you were to get one of these injuries, I mentioned it in the program here. If you do get the injury, the way to treat it is simply control the bleeding, bandage, dressing, pressure dressing, and that's it. So I wouldn't recommend to put any type of ointment or anything like that. Simply clean it off with saline, water, and bandage it. And of course, we do want to make sure that it's not too serious to the point where you need to get stitches. So be sure to get it checked out if you're unsure. Also, really quick, sunscreen. Of course, the sun and the UV rays can potentially harm your skin. So either way, I would recommend you wear some sunscreen. Always remember to put it on every 2 hours and have a friend or family member get the areas that you can't reach yourself. So superficial cuts and burns, really quick, just wanted to touch on it, but those are some preventative exercises for those injuries. Alright, so the last injury we're going to talk about is what I called in my report hyperthermia. This is kind of a broad term that includes heat cramps, generalized heat illness, and even a heat stroke. So it's a very serious injury and could potentially be life-threatening. And what I'm going to talk about is just a few simple ways you could prevent and rehabilitate this injury. So if this were to happen, some direct treatment you could do if this were actively happening to a teammate or an athlete is take them out of direct sunlight immediately. What this is going to do is get them out of the harmful rays and the heat, and it's going to begin to cool them off. Also, another thing you could do is wet them to cool them off, so get them just water on them basically and blow, whether it be a fan or air conditioning on them, that it cools their body temperature off very quickly. Another thing you can do is use an ice pack. This is actually the actual treatment in EMS for hyperthermia or heat stroke, what have you. You can place the ice pack just on the back of their neck, or you could also place it in their groin area. So those parts of the body, for some reason, have been proven to cool the body off very quickly. Some other things you could do, what I got here, just water and a Gatorade. This is something you could do right after the injury has occurred to just replenish your water, your electrolytes, because part of what's happening if you have this injury is your body's losing its ability to sweat and cool off, and it just makes it really hard for your body to function. So one rule of thumb is to drink 1 Gatorade for every 3 waters that you drink, and this could also be a preventative exercise as well. So it takes multiple days to get yourself rehydrated after a serious injury like that. So you should consistently be hydrating yourself to prevent this injury from